Hey, yo, Quantic, run them bands up.
Marilla, what the fuck is this?
For you, glad to have you with us on our NBA Draft Preview Special. Alongside Jay Williams, Jay Bilas, Avery Morjanowski, Malika Andrews will be here, Bobby Marks will be here, Mike Schmitz will be here. I'm merely Reese Davis. But, Pokuševski, though, is really very much like you dress. Very clean, very...
His suit's a lot more expensive, and he's going to have a bigger wallet very, very soon.
A lot of these guys will, for sure. As we are on the eve of the 2020 NBA Draft, there are several headlines and storylines that are going to sort of frame the night tomorrow night. Here are the top three guys, almost by consensus. In what order they go, that is still up for debate. Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman, and LaMelo Ball. The Warriors, with the Splash Brothers back and healthy, a roster that looks pretty good despite a terrible season due to all the injuries last year. They have the number 2 pick, and there's a potential for a ton of trades, not only in the top 10, but beyond that, going down throughout the first round and maybe even into the second. There are some stars that we presume to be on the move. Chris Paul on his way to Phoenix to try to continue to stabilize that situation and improve it, and Drew Holiday going to provide some help in the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo, and maybe Woj, not the only stars that are on the move, maybe still a big star that could be moving soon.
Well, James Harden, he has asked for a trade in Houston, recently turned down, I'm told, a 2-year, $103 million contract extension would have made him the first $50 million a year player in the NBA. Houston's going to slow play this. They're going to try to do two things at once. First, try to convince James Harden to continue to want to play in Houston, but while they're doing that, create a marketplace where they can get back potentially a massive haul of assets. They want a young star player, and they want a lot of draft picks. Anthony Davis, that package that Pelicans got from the Lakers, that's just the beginning, I think, for Houston. But right now, with 2 years left on Harden's deal, they have time on their side. I think you could probably expect to see him start the season, at least start training camp in Houston.
What do you say the chances are that they could convince him to stay?
Well, if he's not going to sign that extension right now, he wants to be in Brooklyn. Yeah. He has told them that. They have yet to really seriously engage the Nets in trade talks, but they've got their work cut out. James Harden thinks that his championship window has closed in Houston.
Well, but the Nets have all the assets, too. When you talk about Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jared Allen, they have a lot of pieces that they could potentially involve in that move.
They could potentially, but I think they really want to, in Houston, canvas the entire league, create a bidding situation, not just isolate on the one team that Harden wants to go to.
And the Warriors have a lot of assets, and guys are healthy now. And sitting there with that 2 pick, you can perhaps get a piece to fit with those guys, but you also might look to try to find a cornerstone for the franchise in the future.
Yeah, RD, Golden State originally did a sign and trade with D'Angelo Russell to be in this particular situation. You keep a max contract on the books. Now you have the 2nd pick in the draft. Could you pair or package the likes of the 2nd pick with Andrew Wiggins and get a guy like a Bradley Beal if he were to be on the marketplace? Rose, you would know more than me about him staying in D.C. long term or not. Or the question is can you find other serviceable bigs other than spending the 2nd pick on a guy like James Wiseman, even though he's extremely talented? It's just an interesting play that Bob Myers and company has on their hands.
There are questions about whether you have that transcendent all-time star power in this draft. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But there is a consensus among most people as to who the top 3 will be. The order, that's an entirely different question. Breaking down the top 3 guys in the draft, here's Mike Schmitz.
When talking about the best player in this year's draft, 3 names come to mind. Anthony Edwards is the most effortless scorer in the draft. His unique combination of strength, burst, and explosiveness allow him to take over games against even the best defenders. James Wiseman is the most physically impressive prospect due to his rare agility for a big man. He's an elite finisher with the tools to become one of the game's best defensive anchors. LaMelo Ball is a natural with the ball in his hands. At 6'7", he has a combination of court vision, creativity, and flair only seen in the NBA's best guards. He is simply must-see TV. While all are in contention, LaMelo Ball is my top prospect. If one player has superstar potential, it's him.
So some superstar potential there. What would you do if you had the number one pick?
Well, on my best available list, I have Anthony Edwards as the number one overall prospect. I think it has to do largely with his athleticism in addition to his skill, scoring ability, and I think he can become an outstanding defender. Number two, I've got James Wiseman out of Memphis, 7'1". He's really a 7'1" Chris Bosh type player, very, very skilled. And then I've got LaMelo Ball, number three. It really becomes interesting after that. Tyrese Haliburton, I think, will be able to play right away in the NBA at both ends of the floor with his length, his ability to shoot the ball. He's an excellent passer. And then Denny Avdia of Maccabi Tel Aviv is a really intriguing prospect. Still young, can score it. Really good defender that can guard multiple positions. And then Obi Toppin is I think going to be a really good player down the road, and he'll be good now, but he's like Amari Stoudemire in his player profile, the best player in college basketball last year.
And you know, the story of his development and coming along, growing late, and now with the potential to be a lottery pick, perhaps a very high one when the NBA draft opens tomorrow night. Still to come, you've heard a little bit about LaMelo Ball. You hear a lot more coming up as he visits with Jalen Rose in our 2020 NBA Draft Preview Special.
The NBA Draft Preview Special is presented by the first ever K5 from Kia, official automotive partner of the NBA.
In our extensive research, we believe that only one set of brothers ever have gone in the top 10 of the NBA draft. That's Eugene and Purvis Short of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. That little distinction will be changed almost certainly when LaMelo Ball joins his brother Lonzo, perhaps both as top two picks in the 2020 NBA draft. LaMelo Ball on expectations with Jalen Rose.
Either one or two is up to you. Hit it. Hey.
You're going to possibly be the number one pick in this year's draft. So what has your workout regimen and schedule been like?
Pretty much I was in Detroit with JJ, just pretty much getting at it. Waking up at 8. Doing shooting form. After that, go to the weightlifting gym.
Here we go, 10 seconds, squat it down. 9, 8, 7, 6, good. Come on, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, good. Relax.
Getting the whole body right. Go back to the gym.
There we go. There you go.
Hey. Go home, watch a movie, rest up, and restart the day.
So you guys are a basketball family. Tell me about what age and some of the drills you did and when you knew that basketball meant everything to you.
Well, really, when I was like 3, that's when it was.
There you go. Oh.
Playing on like a 10-foot hoop. And then, what did you say after that? You said drills and stuff. Yeah, we really didn't do drills.
You said 3 years old?
Yeah, 3.
On a 10-foot hoop?
Yeah, facts. Facts.
Here comes Ball. Ball! Down. They need a 3-ball. LaMelo!
What was it like playing against professionals overseas versus going to college and playing with kids your age?
And playing over there, it's like a whole new style of play that you really could add to your arsenal. I feel I learned a lot and grew from there.
One of the things that I've heard throughout this draft process is when people see you, it's like, whoa, he's taller, he's bigger than we thought.
Yeah, right.
He can shoot it better than we thought.
Freshman year, I was like 5'8".
What?
Yeah, I was like 5'8". And then when I went to overseas, I got to like 6'3", 6'4", and now 6'7".
And I think once you hit that growth spurt and your body continued to get stronger, I noticed you start playing through contact.
Yeah, the whole body change, you know. First, when you get tall, it be kind of different to move and stuff. But once you get used to it, you good.
Now the NBA draft is here. What is it like for that summary to finally happen?
I'm actually really excited. It's going to be my first time in a long time playing back in the States.
What about your draft day drip? Now, don't
Draft
show
day
up with a
drip.
red and white pinstripe suit.
I'm not.
Jalen Rose, I think, wins the Styling Award with that red pinstripe.
Actually, Lonzo draft, I had all red on. But this one, I'm going to have all black and then a little gold in it. It's going to be tough, though.
Pretty strong outfit Jalen was rocking there for the interview, too, wasn't it? As Bobby Marks and Mike Schmitz join us now. Bobby, from a front office perspective, you have a long-time experience in NBA front offices. What do you think of LaMelo Ball?
Well, Reese, I had the opportunity of helping LaMelo prep for his draft interview, and what I've encountered is an 18-year-old who loves to play basketball, who is highly intelligent. And I asked him this question. I said, if you had the opportunity to play in the G League on the select team and make, let's say, $750,000, or go overseas in Australia, what would you choose? And he said, oh, it's a no-brainer, Australia. And what that did was it helped him cultivate. It gave him culture, made him a better person. So there's no red flags for me with LaMelo Ball.
It's been for teams who've gone into his workouts. You know, they're used to going in and you see these one-on-nothing workouts. They get a chance to talk to a player. But something that was a little different in a recent workout out in L.A., some teams were talking about it. You know, when they gave out some, basketball stats and materials to the teams, among the stats, his social media presence. And, some GM said, this is a different day. This is a different player. He was raised in a way that, unlike any prospect in a public eye, and at such a young age in a way that we haven't seen with a player before. But you talk to teams, and those who didn't know him, hadn't spent any time with him, they walked away impressed. And what Bobby said, this kid really loves to play. And that's important when you're going to draft a player that high, that he loves the game, which means he's going to work to get better at it.
And I was able to go out to Wollongong, Australia, and watch him play games and practice, sit down, break down some film with him. And I'll tell you this, if NBA teams had seen him play 30 games playing for Duke or Kentucky or Kansas, I think he would be their number one pick, runaway, not even a question. And the biggest question people ask me is Lonzo. How does he compare to Lonzo? Well, athletically, much shiftier with the ball in his hands and a much more creative passer. I mean, he has the ball on a string as a ball handler. But just look at this. Look at the behind the back to dodge the hedging defender and then having the wherewithal to drop it off again with the behind the back feed. Really, really impressive stuff from LaMelo. And then getting downhill in pick and roll. This is something Lonzo didn't do at a high level at UCLA. He was not a big time pick and roll player. And then the handle. He's extremely instinctual with the ball in his hands. The ability to stop on a dime in mid-range spots going to his left. I mean, that spin move there is just ridiculous. 6'7" point guard who can score it at all three levels. And then splitting the ball screen there. Like I said, has it on a string. He can finish with his left hand. He can finish with his right. He's a complete player talent-wise. And then Lonzo, though, was a much better shooter. Over 42% from three at his UCLA freshman year. And he could do it off the bounce. Also off the catch. I think that's what's allowed him to play in these multi-guard lineups in the NBA so early on in his NBA career. As a finisher, LaMelo has the edge. Left hand, right hand, floater game. He has much better finesse inside the paint. I think that makes him a better shot creator. And then Lonzo, though, easily had the edge defensively. That's been his calling card in the NBA. He can sit down, slide. He can really strap up there, blocking former number one pick Markelle Fultz, turning defense into offense. So that's where LaMelo Ball has to get better, taking care of the ball offensively, making the right decisions, and then buying in defensively. But comparing those two, LaMelo is the better talent.
Yeah, you mentioned Markelle Fultz. On the one hand, maybe a cautionary tale. On the other side, patience, right? As he's starting to rejuvenate himself now in Orlando. We'll talk a lot more about LaMelo Ball on the night of the draft, if there are any red flags concerning his dad, as there might have been with Lonzo, and how that might have changed. So many more things unfolding, including will he be the number one pick overall, or will it be Anthony Edwards, who spent some time with Maria Taylor? That's coming up.
Show presented by Kia.
Anthony Edwards already has ringing Twitter endorsements from Dwayne Wade and Victor Oladipo. Wade even agreeing with Edwards' hope that someday he'd be better than the three-time NBA champion. Anthony Edwards with Maria Taylor.
I thought I was going to be a football player. I was just bigger than everybody. like at a young age, 6, 7, 8. So I was just outrunning everybody, running people over, just being a man amongst boys. So like when I got about 15 years old, then I was like, okay, I want to be a basketball player. So for it to happen now is just crazy.
When you made the decision to go to the University of Georgia, what was the leading reason?
My sister was pregnant with my nephew, and I was just like, well, I don't want to be putting my young little nephew on a plane everywhere to go to the game, so I'll just stay here and we'll just travel to the game whenever y'all want to.
Describe what your close family means to you.
I mean, that means everything. If I ain't got my family, I don't got nothing. So I hold my family as tight as I can. Cause we lost our mom and our grandma, so like my sister and brother, like they came together like, listen, we gonna stick together and get through this. We all just locked in and stayed together. It was heartbreaking, like when I lost my mom, it was terrible. And then like 5-6 months later, like my grandma passed, and I was out of town when I heard that my grandma passed, and I just started crying, like, that's crazy. So it was just bad. Like I don't want to go to no more funerals, not like that. I don't want.
Describe who your mom was to you and what she meant to you.
She was the best woman ever. Like I was her favorite, so I slept in the bed with her. She'll bring me food late night when she get off work, like all type of stuff like that. Like she'll take care. If I'm getting into it with my siblings, she'll be like, y'all don't touch my baby. So yeah, she was the best person ever. Yeah. She makes me want to be better. Like every day that I get up, like when I go to the gym, for instance, like my trainers, they be like, come on, keep pushing. I be telling them like, y'all ain't got to tell me that. Like my mama and grandma keep telling me that.
Let's talk about your grandmother then.
I feel like she helped me be nicer. Like I was a bad little kid. Like I was kind of mean. So like seeing her just being able to just give back to people, it just made me want to give back to people, yeah.
You're someone that's been through so much tragedy, but I feel like you have a great outlook on life. How do you manage that?
They just raised me to always keep a smile on my face no matter what. So like even if I'm feeling some type of way, I don't let nobody see it. And I never let nobody bring me down no matter what's going on in life, or I always try to uplift people.
So what will it mean on draft day? You'll be thinking about the legacy of two women that helped raise you and make you the person that you are. I'm
gonna have them right next to me, two of their pictures. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot.
God bless the mothers and the grandmothers who didn't put up any junk from us and got us straightened out, right? It's really easy to find Anthony Edwards scoring. He can do it from every level, Jay.
Just a freak athlete who's super dynamic in transition. He's a freight train in the open court, but can score from all three levels. He's got deep range as a shooter. The problem is he didn't shoot a great percentage because he took a lot of contested shots and, I think could have put the ball on the floor even more, but it's undeniable. He can get hot in a hurry. He had 33 points in the second half in Maui against Michigan State, and when he gets hot, he can score from absolutely anywhere. A good mid-range game, he can pull up off the dribble. He's got a good step-back dribble. When he decides to go to the basket, nobody's stopping him. And the one problem I had with him was just decision-making. Go to the basket more. He shot 5 free throws a game. Here he's splitting defenders on ball screens. Get all the way to the rim where nobody can stop you and get fouled. He shot 5 free throws a game. Should have been 10. And I think he can be an outstanding defender. The interesting thing in listening to Bobby Marks and Mike Schmitz talk about LaMelo Ball is the love for the game thing. Like, I really think that Edwards likes to play. I don't know that he loves to play like Ball does, but, man, if he does love it, there's no stopping him. He is an extraordinary talent.
Yeah, and I was able to get a look at some of his sports science metrics and just his physicality and his explosiveness. He generates more force when he accelerates than any other athlete that the company P3 out in Santa Barbara has tested at his position. More than any other athlete, and they've tested over 400 NBA athletes. His ability to stop and start, very Harden-esque in that way.
When I see him get lost in the game, he becomes somebody different. Now, I don't know how he gets there consistently, and I know that LaMelo Ball may have more upside, but Anthony Edwards is going to be the first pick in the damn draft. Like, when you watch him play, every shot that he takes, he is on balance. And the athletic ability. Now, Jay, if you talk about the willingness to defend, can he refine that? Yes, I think he can. I just think the way that those pieces fit with Minnesota, it's going to work.
And when he has defended, I mean, he can get down in a stance, he gets wide. You're not getting by him. The question is, does he do it consistently over time? And I think he can.
And a lot of people think that skill set would fit very well with the Timberwolves. Will they keep the pick? Is that the pick that they will make? And behind them, the Warriors are waiting to draft. All of the particulars as Golden State gets to retool a little bit coming up.
We've been living in a world that isn't supposed to exist.
Woo! It would not be smart to count the Dubs out.
We ready.
So you.
Just a terrible run of injuries for the Golden State Warriors. They had 5 straight finals appearances going into last year, won 3 NBA championships in 15, 17, and 18. But then Klay Thompson, Steph Curry both got hurt. Went to 15 and 50. Mike Schmitz with more on the Warriors.
Let's talk about the Warriors. After 5 consecutive NBA Finals appearances, injuries of star players like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson drove them to the worst record in the NBA. And now they have the second pick. So what do? They can keep it and draft the best player on their board. James Wiseman could play an early role and develop into their center of the future. They could trade the pick for a veteran that would make an immediate impact. But maybe the most intriguing option, given their limited cap space, is to trade down toward the back of the top 10, selecting a cheaper, more NBA-ready prospect. This unfamiliar position gives the Warriors something to add to their already huge NBA status.
All right, Mike, let's check out tonight's Keys to Success brought to you by Kia. And for that, Bobby Marks is here. So everybody has to deal with the financial aspect of the draft and constructing a roster. So, Bobby, what are the Warriors' challenges there?
Well, Reese, in the last 5 years, this team has spent $100 million when it comes to the luxury tax. It started in the 2015-16 season. They got a reprieve last year, and where they're looking at this upcoming year in 2020, as you can see, $15 million. They got a reprieve with KD, back to $32 million, went back to $52 million. They didn't spend anything. Look at where their luxury tax bill is, $68 million. They've got this $17.2 million trade exception. If they use this exception, look how high that's going to go. $153 million in luxury tax penalties for one season alone. So the exception expires on November 23rd, as Mike said. Can they move back in the draft? Can they get a player into that exception? But they've got a lot of financial decisions looming ahead, starting with that $68 million penalty.
All right, Bobby, and obviously all the finances implicated by you don't know what your crowd situation is going to be, when you're going to get people in the seats again, how many, and all of that. What are you hearing that the Warriors would like to do or where they're leaning right now?
Well, if we want to assume that Anthony Edwards may go number 1, we don't know that. You know, positionally, James Wiseman fits that roster, but LaMelo Ball made an impression in the workout the Warriors were at, and they know this about the NBA, that the great perimeter wing player is the hardest thing in the league to get. You can get a big man, and you can slide him in. Wiseman certainly is a significant consideration, but Ball is there. If he's there at number 2, that's a decision for them. They had hoped that perhaps there would be a star available out in the marketplace that they could flip the pick and in a deal. Right now, that player's not available. Bradley Beal, he's not on the market. So whoever they pick here at number 2, he could be a trade option later when that player becomes available.
I think we have to be realistic that so many things could happen in the next 24 hours, right? Between teams are calling to try to trade up in the draft, Woj. Yep. You know, so I think Bob Myers and company right now, it's okay to sit tight and just take a sheer evaluation of where you are. If you do want to take the best talent, you know, there's leverage with that, with having the best talent. Maybe somebody's dying to have a LaMelo Ball. For James Wiseman, even if you do take LaMelo Ball, you can find a serviceable big in the marketplace. There's a lot of bigs out there that you can find. May not be the same caliber of a James Wiseman, but still you can make it work. So it depends on how the lay of the land works at that given time.
Yeah, I think if you want serviceable, you can go get it, but I think it's going to be hard to get somebody as good as Wiseman. And Wiseman, one thing about James Wiseman, he can shoot it far better than people think. Like, he can step away left-handed. He's got a terrific touch, really mobile, and 7'6" wingspan. He can protect the rim, rebounds at a high level, rim runs, does all of it, lob threat, you name it. But the thing that I think will help set him apart is he can knock down perimeter shots, and I think he's going to be able to stretch that out to NBA three-point range. You put him in ball screens with the talent that they have on the perimeter, and the fact that he's mobile, can run in a spread floor, I like him with that group.
And if you do the evaluations all the way up until the moment that the draft pick comes up, as fans like to do, you've got some more things to consider. We will hear from the big men who will be selected near the top of the draft. It's coming up soon. You'll hear from James Wiseman, who'll visit with Malika Andrews coming up in just a little bit. He'll do it from Nashville. And another guy that has really seen his stock rise after his season at USC, Onyeka Okongwu, also will visit with Malika. It's all coming up on our NBA Draft Preview Special.
Tomorrow night at 7:30, check out the NBA Draft presented by State Farm on ESPN. Find out where all the pieces will fall and what the Warriors will do with the second pick. We'll bring you the draft from start to finish on ESPN and streaming live on the ESPN app.
Man, what a set Schmitz has over there. Next door, Adam Silver's got a good setup. We'll see when exactly James Wiseman's name will be called. The number one recruit for Memphis. He played for Penn Hardaway in high school and college. That led to some issues. He only played 3 games at Memphis before withdrawing for the NBA draft after the NCAA docked him for a dozen games. Malika Andrews visiting with the Memphis Center.
Thanks so much, Reese. And thank you, James, for being here with us. We just heard Reese detail a little bit about your unprecedented journey to the NBA. For those who haven't watched you very much, tell us a little bit about your game.
Just being able to stretch the floor out, use my versatility, run, rebound, block shots, and really just use my versatility as a big man and just using all those intangibles in order for me to elevate to my highest potential.
As you were looking to kind of capitalize on that versatility, I'm sure you're watching a ton of film in this draft process leading up to it. Who are you watching the most of and why?
Just watching Anthony Davis, how he spaced the floor out, watching Kevin Garnett on how he run the floor and block shots, and just watching Dikembe Mutombo and just players like that, David Robinson, and just players like that I model my game afterwards, that I look at their film every day and just try to get different type of intangibles at their game.
That's quite the collection of big men to look to model your game after. I'm not sure you could have come up with a better group of players there. You have a little bit of a big day tomorrow. Walk us through what tomorrow is going to look like for you up to the point where you sit down and hope to hear your name called.
It's going to be great. Just like a continuity type process for me, going through a long process in terms of my pre-draft process, but it's going to be great for me and my family, and I can't wait to enjoy that exciting moment. The couple of days before I got home, I was very calm, but it started hitting me this morning, so I'm going to be very excited for it.
Take some deep breaths. It's going to be an exciting evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Reese, back to you.
All right, Malika, thank you very much. As Bilas has pointed out a couple of times, there have been times and eras in the NBA when Wiseman would be a no-doubt first pick, and maybe right behind him would be Onyeka Okongwu, who had a tremendous season, really impactful guy, shot 60% from the floor and was just a dunking machine. More on his game now from Mike Schmitz.
Onyeka Okongwu was one of the most productive players in the entire country and is really in a class of his own in terms of his per 40-minute stats. As you see here, he's the only player in Division I history to post these numbers before reaching age 20. Over 20 points, 10 rebounds, 3.5 blocks, 1.5 steals per 40 minutes, while posting a true shooting percentage over 65%. Just ridiculous efficiency and productivity from Okongwu. But what stands out most, aside from that, is his defensive versatility. So let's hop into the film room here and show you what makes him so effective on the defensive end of the floor. Now, it starts in pick and roll, okay? This is a guy who's tremendous in ball screens. He does a great job in these drop coverages. Now, his goal here is to keep this guard in front as he comes off aggressively. So contain him, and then if he gets all the way to the rim, make a play. And that's exactly what Okongwu does here, okay? I'm going to freeze it for the verticality. I mean, look at the verticality technique. This is picture perfect. Every young big watching needs to take note of the technique, of the timing. Look how explosive he is off the floor. This is tremendous from Okongwu, and it's going to translate to the NBA from day one. Now, so we have it at the rim. We get the rim protection stuff, right? He's already tremendous there. Now, it's a pick and roll drop situation, okay? His goal here is to handle the guard and the big. So he's got to make sure that he keeps that guard in front and doesn't let this big who's rolling down the center of the lane get behind him, okay? So here you can see he's in perfect position to keep that ball contained and then make a play on the ball here, take away the lob. That's incredible timing, great instincts from Okongwu there. And then the last level of it, switching. This is what the modern NBA is all about. Can you step away from the rim and slide with a Damian Lillard, a Trae Young, some of the elite guards? Okongwu has proven he can do exactly that. So here they're going to attack his top foot late in the game. 10 seconds left, game on the line. He gets a stop. That's against a wing, and Timmy Allen stays down on the up fake, keeps him in front, takes the ball. Give me that. We're going the other direction. That's what Okongwu brings to the table. This kid is perfect on the defensive end in terms of his versatility, his pick and roll defense, his rim protection. He can switch and has some similar measurements to Bam Adebayo. I think there are a lot of similarities between these two on the defensive end of the floor. 6'10", 245 pounds, 7'2", 7'3" wingspan. So he's going to have a major impact on the defensive end of the floor from day one in the NBA.
And Mike, twice Okongwu was Mr. Basketball in the state of California. Only 3 other people have done that. Jason Kidd, Aaron Gordon, and Tyson Chandler, all top 4 picks in the NBA draft. And as we rejoin Malika, Onyeka won't have to wait long to hear his name called.
Absolutely not. And Onyeka, thank you so much for joining us on the eve of what I expect is going to be a very exciting night, a very exciting day, honestly, for you. We just heard Mike Schmitz talk about your defensive IQ, your rim protection, your footwork, and that makes people think a little bit of Bam Adebayo. What do you think of that comparison?
It's honestly a great comparison. You know, Bam's a great player. He's an all-star. You know, I definitely studied his film, watching him in a bubble. You know, me and him are great defenders. You know, I definitely want to have a Bam-type mold, be a great playmaker, have a handle. You know, that's definitely somebody I watch film on.
And Onyeka, not everybody realizes that you played on one of the best high school teams in Chino Hills with LaMelo Ball, with the Ball brothers, actually. But tell us, with LaMelo, what was that 2-man game like?
Man, me and Melo were probably the best duo in high school my sophomore year. You know, Melo is so talented. He's so gifted. He has natural abilities. And me and him just rubbed up on each other. So, you know, I'm happy me and him get to live out our dreams.
And lastly, Onyeka, what is one thing, whether it is a meal or a movie or a song or something that you need to do tonight on the last night before you become an NBA pro?
Man, honestly, Malika, just spend time with my family.
Yeah.
You know, be able to, you know, take in the moment. You know, our lives are about to change, and be able to, you know, bask in it and enjoy it. You know, it's been a long journey, long road, and it's finally happening tomorrow.
Absolutely. Well, you enjoy that time with your family, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much, Reese.
Malika, I would suggest him asking someone else to pick up the DoorDash bill, because that is not going to happen. That is not going to happen in the future. It's all going to be on him. It's not all about the big men. We're going to go guards. Tyrese Haliburton is a guy who has impressed everybody he's come in contact with. You'll hear from him when you come back.
Kia.
Might not be a bad thing to be a little bit farther back in the draft, because if you're below the top 3, you might wind up with Tyrese Haliburton. So what are you getting exactly? How about a guy who led the Big 12 in assists, increased his scoring by more than 8 points per game from his freshman to his sophomore year? The intangibles are off the charts. He's visiting now with Malika.
Thanks so much, Reese and Tyrese. Thank you so much for being here virtually with us. You have been working out a whole lot in Las Vegas during this break, and then you're now back in Wisconsin. But this pandemic has upended so many parts of life. What has it been like for you? How has it changed your training regimen?
I mean, I was just going to 2 different places. Originally, I was in Milwaukee for a couple months, and then went to Las Vegas to, you know, work there, and was with a legendary trainer, Joe Bunasar, who's obviously had very good players in the past with, you know, Kevin Garnett and Kyle Lowry. So to work with him and, you know, kind of get his expertise was pretty awesome.
And with all that work that you have done, is there one skill in particular that maybe teams might be a little bit surprised at just how much you've improved at it?
No, I mean, I'm really working on everything. Just being a complete player right now. Just trying to figure out every little thing. Getting better in the in-between game. Really working on my pick and roll game. I think that's helping me improve drastically right now.
Absolutely. And I don't want to put the cart before the horse here, Tyrese, but after tomorrow night, and I know we need to get through that first, but after tomorrow night, there's only 6 weeks between the draft and the season starting. What are you keying in on and prioritizing for those 6 weeks to get ready for the NBA season?
To be honest, I don't know if I have that answer because, life is going to be moving so fast. Just getting in my NBA city as soon as I can and creating relationships with my teammates. I think that's just going to help us, in this crazy time and having a good year next year and creating those relationships, learning from guys who are, currently in the NBA and just working on, like I said, every part of my game, really.
Absolutely. That makes a whole lot of sense. Is there any one thing tonight that you want to do? Movie, meal, family time before your name is called tomorrow?
Yeah, I would say just hang out with my friends. Hang out with all my friends from home because life is going to be moving real fast. I'm not going to be in Oshkosh too much, so just hanging out with all my guys and just spending some time with them, playing the PS5 and playing 2K.
Absolutely. We'll have some fun, but still be safe, and we will see you tomorrow. Get a little bit of rest. Reese, back to you.
Guys, thank you very much. As college coach Steve Prohm says, his personality just lights up a room. I think you could see that. And I don't want to tell secrets here, but somebody, front office personnel man, has a man crush on Mr. Haliburton.
Oh, Reese, you gave it away already. I'll tell you what, and I don't say this lightly. I've been in this business for 25 years, and that young man is the best draft interview that I've ever been part of, either with the Nets or in the last 4 or 5 years, helping prepare draft prospects. And he is another player that I helped during this process, and we spent an hour and 15 minutes. We had never met each other before, and I think I came out a better person after that. High basketball IQ. He'll be in the league for 15 years plus. Whoever drafts him's got a winner there.
Yeah, and I was able to go out to Vegas and watch him play, spend some time with him. And what Bobby's saying is spot on. I mean, he's a connector. You won't find one person in the entire world who would say a bad thing about Tyrese Haliburton, and he's one of the highest IQ players in this draft. His passing ability, his ability to shoot it off the catch, shot over 40%.
Edwards and Ball, who are in the top 3 overall in the draft, I've got him as the 4th ranked overall prospect for exactly what Bobby and Mike were talking about, that you can plug him in right now, and he plays at a high level at both ends of the floor. He's a really good long-arm defender. He rebounds his position. He's just got a tremendous maturity level. And Devin Vassell of Florida State is a similar type player. I don't think he's quite as good as Haliburton, but another guy who he doesn't play as many minutes because of the way Florida State played, but can switch out on defense, very productive offensively, can really shoot it, excellent in transition, can finish. And there's another guy I'd put on that list, even though he may be more of a wing, is Isaac Okoro of Auburn. The one thing Okoro doesn't do that those two do is he doesn't shoot it as well from the perimeter, but everything else, Okoro is a stud, and he's going to be an outstanding player in the NBA.
And sometimes you see shooting develop over the course of time. As for the best shooters in the draft, we find Mike Schmitz magically relocated.
So in terms of the top shooters, Aaron Nesmith certainly up there, Desmond Bane tremendous as well. But the guy we're going to break down here is Peyton Pritchard, who scored almost 2,000 points during his Oregon career and shot 42% from 3 this past season. And he reminds me a little bit of another 4-year college player, Fred VanVleet, with his toughness, his shooting ability, and his affinity to rise when the moment gets greater, shining in the bright lights. That's what makes Pritchard so special and very, very similar to Fred VanVleet. Now, you can see it on the road against Washington, okay? This is a rival game. We're in overtime. It's kind of a broken up play, junk situation. He's going to get a handle on it, falling over. That's a good defender. In his face, splash. That's Peyton Pritchard. He loves those type of moments. Fred VanVleet has always been the same way his entire career, okay? Just to set the stage here, this is an NBA Finals game on the road, okay? This is not a guy who was a high draft pick. He was actually undrafted. But he comes in the 4th quarter, down 2, and watch this. Steph Curry draped all over him. bang. He makes big shots, he always has, and that's exactly what Peyton Pritchard does as well. So a big thing that's made Pritchard so intriguing to NBA teams is that, yes, he's really good offensively, but he's also tough-minded on the defensive end of the floor. So Nico Mannion is going to try to get downhill into his body. He takes it right in the chest, and then look at the hand. Swipes it away. He's going to knock it off of his knee, and then we're going in the other direction, and he's going to let him know about it. He's a fiery competitor. That's who Peyton Pritchard really is. And then Fred VanVleet, very similar in that regard. Again, opposing guards are going to attack him. They're going to try to get into his body, but he has such quick hands, and he's so crafty that he's able to turn that into offense. That's why he's been able to fit alongside Kyle Lowry and have so much success. He can play in these multi-guard lineups, and that's Peyton Pritchard's future as well.
International prospects in the upcoming NBA draft. The guy at the top of the list is Deni Avdija. For more on him, here's Mike Schmitz.
Let's talk about 19-year-old Deni Avdija. Standing just over 6'9" with the ability to play 1 through 4, he's the most versatile prospect in the draft. Deni hails from a town located in the northern district just outside of Tel Aviv, Israel. He's the son of a former pro hoopster and ex-Yugoslavia national team player, Zufer Avdija. At 16, Deni became the youngest Maccabi player to debut in the Israeli league. Now he's the 2020 MVP, the youngest in league history. In addition, he also led Israel to the 2019 Under-20 European Championship title. With those accolades, I expect him to feel right at home in his new home, the NBA.
All right, Mike, look forward to seeing where Avdija goes. He's not necessarily a sleeper, highly thought of guy. Jay, who are some of the guys that perhaps people aren't thinking about as much that you like?
Well, a guy I think who could sneak into the first round because he can really shoot it is Desmond Bane of TCU. You know, he's not a long-armed athlete, but he knows how to play, and he can play at both ends of the floor. But deep range, shoots 44% from his career from three-point range, has gotten better as a player each year. And then Xavier Tillman of Michigan State averaged a double-double for Tom Izzo. Very good in pick and roll, both offensively and defensively. Shoots almost 70% as a pick and roll roller. And when I said average a double-double, last guy to do that for Tom Izzo was Draymond Green. Not saying he's going to be as good as Draymond Green, but Xavier Tillman is going to be a good NBA player. And then Cassius Winston, who is a savant in pick and roll on offense and an excellent shooter. The only question mark with him is going to be his defense in the NBA. But I think you'll see him at the end of the first round, early second round.
All right, so look at those guys. You're also getting very mature guys, the two guys from Michigan State, really all three of them, but particularly Xavier Tillman and Cassius Winston. Bold prediction time, gentlemen. So give me a bold prediction for something that's going to happen in the NBA draft.
I think we're going to have a lot of action tomorrow night on the trade front, especially because you have such a tight window from the transaction window opened on Monday to the start of free agency at the end of the week. I think you're going to see more veteran players traded up into the lottery for teams who want to get lottery picks. Watch for that tomorrow night.
A player that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, and JB, I would be willing to hear you break him down, because I watched him play a couple times, and every time I watch him play, his versatility, the strength that he has, I feel like I want to see him guard Kevin Durant. I feel like I want to see him guard Klay Thompson, and that's Patrick Williams in Florida State. I don't hear a lot of people talk about him. I think he's a guy that could go high in the lottery. I really do, just because of that versatility and that style in which he plays. How come we're not talking about him as much as we're talking about some of the other guys?
We probably should be. That's a good question. I think he's could very well be a top 10 pick because of the things you're talking about. He's athletic. He's long-armed. His hands are huge. He can shoot it, but impacts the game on the glass and the defensive end. Has got a lot of potential. I think, it's funny. We've spent a lot of time, and rightfully so, talking about the top three guys: Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman, LaMelo Ball, in whatever order they should go. But I think we're going to look back on this draft and talk about the super talented wings in this draft that we're saying, hey, they could be starters and maybe all-stars. I think there are a number of players, whether it's Isaac Okoro, Devin Vassell, you name it, that we're going to look back on and say, man, that was the year of the versatile wing, the 3-and-D guy from the 2020 NBA draft.
I just feel like there's great talent in the draft, and this is not a knock to the talent, but I just feel like if you're a top 3 pick, you're trying to look to potentially trade down to see if you can maybe get value with